Picture Britain in the 1960s. Terrace streets glisten after rain, motorways stretch out for the very first time, and outside every dealership window sits a saloon that says something about who you are. Bank managers, prime ministers, factory owners, young executives each had their own idea of the perfect British saloon. This was a decade of walnut dashboards and Westlake engines, of Coventry ambition and Solihull engineering. Today on Britain Rewind we are counting down 10 greatest British saloons of 1960s, and before we go into number 1, the saloon that many still call Britain's finest, make sure you're subscribed to Britain Rewind, because what's coming will make you fall in love with British motoring all over again. Number 10. Humber Imperial. The Humber Imperial arrived in 1964 wearing a name roots had kept dormant for a decade, and it announced itself with quiet, deliberate confidence. Built on the bones of the Super Snipe, it carried a straight 6 engine fitted with a Westlake cylinder head and twin Zenith Stromberg carburetors, offering smooth, unhurried performance rather than outright speed. That was never the point. The Imperial was about comfort, and it delivered comfort few rivals could match. Buyers found reclining front seats, West of England cloth trim, and selector-ride dampers controlled from the dashboard, letting the driver soften or firm the ride with a simple twist. Red warning lamps glowed if a door wasn't properly shut. Even Prime Minister Harold Wilson chose one for official duties. But here's what most people forget: the Imperial was fighting a battle it could never quite win. Would you have picked British engineering over Italian flair? Its great rival came from Kingsbury, wore a different badge entirely, and had Italian styling on its side. Number 9. Vanden Plas Princess for Liter R. Unveiled at the very same 1964 London Motor Show as the Imperial, the Vanden Plas Princess for Liter R took a different route to the same destination. Underneath its Pininfarina-influenced coachwork sat a Rolls-Royce-derived straight-six engine, a detail that gave the Princess a level of engineering pedigree few mass-market saloons could claim. Priced at nearly £2,000, it undercut a Jaguar Mk2 while still delivering coach-built trimmings and genuine walnut cabinetry. Vanden Plas craftsmen hand-finished every interior, stitching leather and polishing veneer to standards closer to a coach builder than a factory line. For a certain kind of British buyer, successful, but not ostentatious, this was exactly the balance they wanted. Yet its Rolls-Royce connection wasn't just a footnote. It was the beginning of something bigger. That engine would go on to power another British icon entirely. But first, we need to talk about the saloon that turned Rover into a genuine rival to Rolls-Royce itself. Number 8. Rover P5B. By 1967, Rover had a problem worth having. Their elegant P5 executive saloon, already a favorite of prime ministers and royalty, needed more muscle beneath its dignified bodywork. The solution arrived in the form of a lightweight, aluminium 3.5-litre V8, originally developed by BIC in America and re-engineered by Rover into something distinctly British. The result was the P5B, a car that could now genuinely surprise drivers who underestimated it. Inside, wood veneer and leather created a gentleman's club on wheels, yet that V8 gave the P5B real pace when called upon. Prime Ministers Harold Wilson and later Margaret Thatcher would both be seen in P5Bs, cementing its reputation as the unofficial car of Downing Street. But something curious happened next. Rover wasn't finished experimenting with that V8. Another Rover saloon, one built for an entirely different kind of driver, was about to receive the very same engine and change what a British executive car could feel like behind the wheel, and that's exactly at number 7. Number 7. Rover P6 3500. The Rover P6 had already impressed critics when it launched in 1963, engineered with an advanced base unit construction and a Dion rear suspension that gave it genuinely sharp handling for a saloon of its size. It even won the very first European Car of the Year award. But in 1968, Rover dropped that same aluminium V8 into the P6 engine bay, and the car transformed entirely. Suddenly, the P6 3500 could embarrass sports cars from a standing start while still carrying a family of 5 in comfort. Journalists described it as feeling like the offspring of a Rolls-Royce and something altogether more American in temperament. Would this have tempted you away from a traditional saloon in 1968? Rover had proven that a driver's car and an executive saloon didn't need to be different things. But across in Coventry, another manufacturer was proving something else entirely, that a modest, honest saloon could still steal hearts, and number 6 brings us there next. Number 6, Triumph 2000. Launched in 1963, the very same year as the Rover P6, the Triumph 2000 arrived as a genuinely modern monocoque saloon with independent suspension all round, a rarity at this price point. Its straight-six engine offered refined, confident performance, while Michelotti's styling gave it a crisp, understated elegance that aged remarkably well. For buyers who found the Jaguar Mk2 too flashy and the Humber too heavy, the Triumph 2000 offered a genuinely satisfying middle ground. Later versions gained fuel injection, pushing performance further still, and the model would go on to influence Triumph's saloon range for years afterward. Here's the detail most buyers never realized at the time: this humble Triumph was quietly setting the template that rivals would spend a decade trying to copy. Would this have been your family's choice over the flashier competition? Let us know in the comments below. But the next car belongs to a saloon that didn't just compete with Jaguar and Rover, it terrified them on the racetrack. Number 5, Ford Cortina Lotus Mark I. Ford's Cortina had already become Britain's everyman saloon by the early 1960s, but in 1963 it received an extraordinary transformation. Lotus engineers fitted a twin-cam engine, developed with Colin Chapman's involvement, transforming an ordinary family saloon into a genuine giant killer. Painted in white with a distinctive green side flash, the Lotus Cortina looked every bit as serious as it drove. In the hands of Jim Clark, the car dominated touring car racing, humiliating far more expensive machinery on circuits across Britain. For ordinary buyers, that meant something extraordinary: a saloon you could take the children to school in on Monday, then watch dominate Brands Hatch at the weekend. But its greatest legacy had nothing to do with trophies. The Lotus Cortina proved that homologation specials could capture the public imagination like nothing else, a lesson every performance saloon since has followed. The next car took that same philosophy and applied it to something altogether more dangerous. Number 4, Jaguar Mark II. Few British saloons carry a reputation quite like the Jaguar Mark II. Launched in 1959 and refined throughout the decade, it combined genuine glamour with real menace, becoming, rather infamously, the getaway car of choice for criminals who fancied their chances against the police. It was fast enough to justify that reputation too. The 3.8-litre straight-six, in particular, became the version enthusiasts still chase today, especially examples modified by tuner John Coombs. Power steering arrived as standard from 1960, and by 1965 the notoriously clunky Moss gearbox was finally replaced with an all-synchromesh unit, sharpening the driving experience considerably. Can you imagine the sight of a black Mark II thundering down a British A-road in 1963? Yet one detail changed everything for the police themselves. Forces across Britain began buying their own Mark IIs, simply because nothing else in their fleet could keep pace with the criminals driving them. That arms race on Britain's roads leads us straight into number 3. Number 3, Vauxhall Cresta PB. By 1962, Vauxhall knew its old Cresta had dated badly, with its American-inspired fins and heavy chrome starting to feel out of step with a more restrained Britain. The answer was the Cresta PB, boxier, cleaner, and far more confident in its own identity. Power came from a 2.6-litre straight-six, later enlarged to 3.3 litres, giving the PB genuine executive class pace alongside newly standard front disc brakes. Buyers who wanted six-cylinder smoothness without Jaguar money found the PB an easy car to love. Overdrive became available, acrylic paintwork arrived by 1965, and the cabin offered a broad, comfortable bench seat built for long British motorway journeys. Here's what surprised even Vauxhall at the time: this understated saloon was quietly outselling several of its more glamorous rivals. That success proved Britain's saloon market wasn't only about prestige badges. Sometimes it was about getting the fundamentals right. And the next car took that same idea, then aimed it squarely at royalty. Number 2. Jaguar Mark 10. When the Mark 10 launched in 1961, it redefined what a British luxury saloon could be. Designed for kings, prime ministers, and film stars, it was the first Jaguar fitted with independent rear suspension, and its original 3.8-litre straight-six, later enlarged to 4.2 litres in 1965, delivered a quiet, formidable cruising pace that belied its enormous curvaceous bodywork. Step inside and you'd find walnut veneer, Connolly leather, and deep pile carpets that rivaled anything from Crewe. Remarkably, the Mark 10 cost under half the price of a Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud, yet could comfortably outrun far smaller sports saloons of its day. By the late 1960s, though, Jaguar found itself juggling 4 separate saloon ranges, and something had to give. That realization led to a single decision that would define Jaguar for the next 3 decades. Which brings us, finally, to the saloon many consider the greatest Britain ever built. Number 1. Jaguar XJ6. And here are at number 1, the saloon that many still call Britain's finest. In 1968, Jaguar unveiled the car that would consolidate everything they had learned throughout the decade into a single, definitive statement, the XJ6. Managing Director Sir William Lyons himself called it the finest Jaguar ever built, and few who drove it disagreed. Offered with 2.8-litre and 4.2-litre straight-six engines, the XJ6 combined saloon car comfort with genuinely sporting handling, a balance rivals had chased for years without success. Its design was so complete, so perfectly resolved, that Jaguar continued producing variations of it for decades afterward, an almost unheard-of achievement in the car industry. For a time, it was widely regarded as the finest luxury saloon in the entire world, British or otherwise. The XJ6 didn't just end the 1960s. It became the bridge into everything Jaguar would achieve afterward, proving that British engineering could still lead the world when ambition and craftsmanship aligned perfectly. From Humber's quiet dignity to Jaguar's world-beating XJ6, these 10 saloons capture something Britain rarely managed again: total confidence. Factories in Coventry, Solihull, and Dagenham weren't simply building transport, they were building identity, ambition, and national pride into every panel. Britain in the 1960s believed it could still lead the world, and for one glorious decade, it did. Which of these would you have parked on your driveway back then? Tell us in the comments below, and if this journey through Britain's golden age stirred something in you, there's plenty more waiting for you right here at Britain Rewind. Until next time.